Good evening and welcome to the Delta TV main news. I am Esther Oputa. You can also follow our news online on Facebook at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba and on YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website www.dbsasaba.com. The state governor, the Right Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori, has bagged double earners at the Independent Newspapers 2025 Awards, emerging as Outstanding Independent Governor and Best Independent Governor in Urban Renewal of the Year. The award themed Game Changers, Breaking Barriers, Shaping Tomorrow, held as part of activities marking the organization's Silver Jubilee. Ejime Udweme reports.
Speaking with newsmen after the ceremony, Sawunyeme said it was evident that the governor had changed the development narrative in Delta State, particularly in urban renewal, citing rapid infrastructural transformation, including the construction of multiple flyovers in Ogeli, Warri, Efurun, and Nere Junction, among others, which he said had improved traffic flow and enhanced the aesthetics of major cities. The deputy governor added that about 300 kilometers of roads had been delivered within the past year, significantly addressing infrastructure deficits. He attributed the governor's achievements to his passion for service and vision to leave a lasting legacy, noting that the goal was to set a high standard for future administrations.
We have not rested and we're not going to rest. We've been elected to serve the people, to serve Deltans. And we made a pledge that we will serve Deltans. We'll continue to deliver more and more and more to Deltans. The more award we get, the more we will deliver to Deltans. That is the assurance this government will give Deltans.
Earlier, Managing Director and Editor-in-Chief of the Independent Newspapers, Mr. Steve Omanufeme, said the awardees emerged through public voting and rigorous screening, adding that activities to mark the organization's Silver Jubilee will continue in October. Ejime Udweme reporting.
Meanwhile, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Emomotimi Guwo, has congratulated Governor Sheriff Oborevwori on two prestigious awards conferred on him by the independent newspapers at the weekend in Lagos. Governor Oborevwori was honored with the Governor of the Year on Urban Renewal and Outstanding Governor of the Year awards in recognition of his administration's achievements. In a statement through his Chief Press Secretary, Nkemweke, the Speaker described the double earner as well-deserved, noting that it reflected the governor's visionary leadership and commitment to people-oriented governance. He added that the recognition further affirmed the governor's inclusive leadership style and prudent management of state resources, expressing confidence that the awards would spur the governor to greater service and assuring him of the continued support and collaboration of the legislature in delivering democratic dividends to all parts of the state. As some churches mark Mothering Sunday, mothers have been advised to live up to expectations by fulfilling their responsibilities as women and nurturers of the home. The parish priest of the St. Patrick's Catholic Church, Asaba, Reverend Father Peter Mobogu, gave the advice in his message at today's Mass. Henry Unogwa reports.
Brother Tubo explained that everyone sowed daily through words, thoughts, and actions, stressing that just as a farmer harvested the type of crop he planted, so would every person receive equal reward or punishment for their deeds. The sermon drawn from Galatians chapter 6, verses 7 to 9, stated that those who sow to the Spirit through works of righteousness would witness God's goodness in this world, with the promise of eternal life in the world to come, while those who sow to the flesh through unrighteousness would reap evil, including everlasting destruction. The speaker encouraged those making efforts to do the right things not to be tired assuring them that in due season they would reap the reward of their good deeds if they did not become discouraged, as stated in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. In his remarks, the officiant, Brother Raymond Ekanem, enjoined the people to choose righteousness in order to enjoy the peace of God, which could not be quantified. The service featured choral renditions in praise of God's goodness.
We sincerely apologize for the mix-up in the vigils. Christians have been charged to be mindful of their thoughts, words, and actions to avoid negative consequences. An elder of the God's Kingdom Society, GKS, Brother Isaac Tubo, gave the charge in a sermon at today's service of the church. The sermon was tagged, "We shall reap what we sow." The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthen Nigeria's education sector through sustained investment, improved infrastructure, and enhanced staff welfare. Minister of Education Dr. Tunji Alausa gave the assurance at the 29th and 30th combined convocation ceremony of the University of Abuja, now renamed Yakubu Gowon University, held at the institution's main campus in Abuja. Dr. Alausa, represented by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Mr. Abel Eniton, said education remains central to national development and stability, stressing that countries that prioritize education were better positioned for innovation and sustainable growth. He noted that the federal government had intervened in the university's recent leadership challenges to restore peace and ensure academic progress, adding that stability in the nation's universities was non-negotiable. Dr. Alausa reiterated that the administration of President Bola Tinubu would continue to invest in universities as intellectual engines of national development. Nigeria is set to deploy 200 Special Forces personnel to Tokyo for training following a new bilateral agreement with that country. Minister of Defense, retired General Christopher Musa, disclosed this on the sidelines of the Antalya Diplomacy Forum 2026 after meeting with his Turkish counterpart, Mr. Yasar Gula. The minister said the deployment would commence immediately upon his return to Nigeria as part of efforts to strengthen military capacity and deepen defense cooperation between both countries, adding that the partnership would also include joint military exercises, defense equipment production, and technology transfer. He stressed that Tokyo's advancement in defense manufacturing and its decade-long experience in combating terrorism provided valuable opportunities for Nigeria to enhance its capability, adding that both nations had agreed to collaborate in training, and agreed to industrial production and the exchange of military personnel to address evolving security challenges. The defense minister expressed optimism that the collaboration would improve Nigeria's defense architecture and operational effectiveness as the forum brought together global leaders, ministers, and security experts to discuss pressing international security and development issues.
As a host community, try as much as possible to guide your utterances. No company can be intimidated. The companies are also urged to keep to their social responsibility, the corporate social responsibility. I always say it, keep to it. If you keep to the corporate social responsibility, no host community will hold you ransom.
Now Delta State I dey so. With wetin I dey see so, very soon Delta State go be like Canada, America.
na Delta State today. For front, na one of the bridges where Governor Sheriff already commissioned.
In fact, I dey abroad.
I dey abroad.
Papa Chuko, wake up. Gary don't finish for house.
I dey abroad.
Okay, you do Obuko Ogenekewe Street. I beg, I won't go buy Gary.
Collect money for that trouser.
Okpako, you never hear what did happen.
Say rain start early this year.
Governor Sheriff, he don't approve 200,000 naira special allowance. Now, welfare package for doctors waiting for Delta State. Yes, so.
You know, say I study medicine small.
They study medicine small.
I be for even, you know.
You know, the Governor Sheriff, you know, they do those things. So now, strictly merit based, free of any form of payment or mago.
The more agenda, they turn Delta State to a hub for agro-industrial growth where investment they thrive. Now, as a result of a peaceful and business-friendly environment when Governor Sheriff they create for Delta State, Governor Sheriff focus on practical solutions where they make life easy for Deltans. Abi you know of the new CNG station for Asaba. When they deliver in partnership with Nipco Gas, it go also ease the pressure of rising fuel costs. I go patronize them. You say? I say I go patronize them. With your wheelbarrow.
From roads to drainage systems cutting across multiple communities for Delta State, Governor Sheriff came prepared, more than the way I say prepared. More agenda, matter.
Brought to you by Delta State Ministry of Information.
Welcome back. You're watching Dateline on Delta TV. As some churches mark Mothering Sunday, mothers have been advised to live up to expectations by fulfilling their responsibilities as women and nurturers of the home. The parish priest of the St. Patrick's Catholic Church, Asaba, Reverend Father Peter Mobogu, gave the advice in his message at today's Mass. Henry Unogwa reports.
Reverend Father Mobogu noted that motherhood in the modern age came with numerous challenges, particularly with exposure of children to vast information through technology. He urged mothers to therefore be more vigilant and actively involved in the lives of their children, stressing the need to monitor their activities and maintaining close relationship with them. The cleric cautioned against giving children unrestricted access to mobile phones and other devices that could not be properly monitored, warning that such actions could negatively affect their future, even as he emphasized the importance of complementing parental efforts with constant prayers. The service featured praises and thanksgiving by mothers, as well as special prayers for families and peaceful homes. Henry Onogwa reporting.
Christians have been charged to be mindful of their thoughts, words, and actions to avoid negative consequences. An elder of the God's Kingdom Society, GKS, Brother Isaac Tubo, gave the charge in a sermon at today's service of the church. The sermon was tagged, "We shall reap when we sow."
Brother Tubo explained that everyone sowed daily through words, thoughts, and actions, stressing that just as a farmer harvested the type of crop he planted, so would every person receive equal reward or punishment for their deeds. The sermon drawn from Galatians chapter 6, verses 7 to 9, stated that those who sow to the Spirit through works of righteousness would witness God's goodness in this world with the promise of eternal life in the world to come, while those who sow to the flesh through unrighteousness would reap evil, including everlasting destruction. The speaker encouraged those making efforts to do the right things not to be tired, assuring them that in due season they would reap the reward of their good deeds if they did not become discouraged, as stated in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. In his remarks, the officiant, Brother Raymond Ekanem, enjoin the people to choose righteousness in order to enjoy the peace of God, which could not be quantified. The service featured choral renditions in praise of God's goodness.
The National Universities Commission, NUC, has disclosed plans to engage the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, to enable graduates of the National Open University of Nigeria participate in the National Service Scheme. The Executive Secretary of the NUC, Professor Abdullahi Ribadu, made this known in Abuja at the 15th convocation ceremony of the Open University, where over 24,000 graduates were awarded degrees. He said the move aligned with efforts by the federal government to review existing policies and expand opportunities for eligible graduates, adding that the Commission would work with NYSC to adjust policies in line with evolving educational realities, particularly the emergence of younger graduates from open and distance learning institutions. Professor Ribadu noted that unlike in the past, when most graduates of the institution were above 30 years, many of now's graduates now fell within the age bracket eligible for national service, and highlighted the growing role of open and distant learning in bridging Nigeria's higher education access gap. Operatives of the Delta State Police Command have arrested suspected drug dealers and recovered large quantities of illicit substances in a series of coordinated raids across the state. A statement by the police public relations officer, SP Bright Edafe, said the operation was part of intensified efforts by the command to combat drug trafficking and related crimes. The statement said that during a raid by operatives of the Otororokwe division in Uwolo community, a 33-year-old woman, Justina Onokwasa, was arrested with large consignments of suspected Canadian loud, codeine, tramadol, and other hard drugs. It added that in a separate operation in Abraka, officers of the state anti-cult unit apprehended 3 suspects and recovered quantities of substances believed to be Indian hemp and other illicit drugs. The police urged residents to support the command with credible information while investigations into the case continued. In sports, Nigeria's U17 women's national team, the Flamingos, will face Guinea in the final qualifying round of the 2026 FIFA U17 Women's World Cup. Guinea secured the tie after defeating Niger 8-2 on aggregate, winning the first leg 5-2 and completing the job with a 3-0 victory in Conakry. Head coach Akim Bosari has invited 36 players to camp in preparations, with both teams expected to intensify training ahead of the crucial encounter. Guinea will host the first leg between May 22 and 24, while the return leg will be played in Nigeria on May 30, as the Flamingos aim to secure qualification and sustain the country's strong presence at the tournament. Now for some business, local rice farmers have expressed concern over the impact of increased importation on domestic production, warning that the trend is crippling the sector. The farmers who spoke in Lagos said the situation worsened following the federal government's import duty waiver introduced in 2024, which led to a surge in rice shipments into the country. They noted that many farmers had struggled to remain in business due to rising imports, climate change, and increased production costs, citing fertilizer prices impacted by global tensions with inconsistent weather patterns, further reducing yields, making it difficult for local farmers to compete with imported rice and sold at lower prices. The farmers called for greater government support. Some rice sellers confirmed that increased import had reduced prices, with a 50 kg bag dropping to between 51,000 and 55,000 naira, adding that the trend had forced some local producers to repackage their rice to remain competitive. Meanwhile, butchers have spoken out over the sharp increase in the price of cows, which had risen to as high as 2.5 million naira in markets in Lagos and other major cities. The butchers attributed the increase to worsening insecurity, high transportation costs, and delays in the implementation of local ranching programs. They explained that livestock supply had dropped due to the security challenges affecting movements from the northern part of the country, while rising fuel prices had further increased transport costs. The butchers added that local producers had been unable to meet demand due to delays in planned ranching initiatives, urging governments to fast-track the ranching program to boost supply, create jobs, and reduce the rising cost of meat for consumers. And from the foreign scene, the head of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Leo XIV, has called on Angolians to build hope and move beyond divisions as he addressed thousands of worshippers at the Mass in Quilamba, near the capital, Luanda, during an official visit to Angola as part of a broader tour of African nations. The pontiff reflected on the country's civil war past, noting that it led to division, poverty, and wasted resources, urging the citizens to embrace the future with renewed hope. During the visit, the Pope met with President João Lourenço, where he condemned corruption and the exploitation of natural resources, warning that such practices had contributed to social and environmental challenges. He stressed the need for social justice and prioritizing the poor, with many faithful expressing hope that the visit would inspire unity and positive change. The Pope had also visited Algeria and Cameroon with plans to proceed to Equatorial Guinea. In food and nutrition this week, we'll spotlight a staple crop that feeds millions across Africa and beyond. It is valued for its versatility, high energy content, and wide range of processed products. Cassava. Favor Kafo has details.
Cassava, scientifically known as Manihot esculeanta, is a tropical root crop widely cultivated in Nigeria and other parts of Africa, Asia, and Latin America. It is known for its starchy roots, which serve as a major source of carbohydrates for millions of people. The crop thrives in poor soils and can withstand drought, making it highly reliable for farmers. It is also valued for the many food products that can be derived from it through processing. After harvesting, cassava is processed through peeling, grating, fermenting, drying, and milling. These methods produce foods such as gari, fufu, and cassava flour used in various meals. Other products include tapioca, starch, abacha, and lafun, all of which are widely consumed across different communities. Beyond food, cassava is used in the production of ethanol, animal feed, and adhesives, making it important for industrial use. Nutritionally, cassava is rich in carbohydrates, providing a good source of energy. It also contains small amounts of vitamin C, B vitamins, and minerals like potassium. However, cassava is low in protein and should be eaten with protein-rich foods such as beans, fish, or meat. When properly processed and consumed as part of a balanced diet, cassava supports energy needs, digestion, and food security.
Cassava is nice food, and I always like taking it when it's fufu. Why I like fufu is, if I take fufu like this, it always gives me joy, it gives me strength, not like gari or tapioca or others. Not that I don't like rice or I don't like tapioca or others, but fufu is the best. I like taking it with egusi, melon soup.
I like fufu because fufu, swallow is my favorite food. And tapioca or gari used to day life because I always like something that will give me power to do my work. But if I chop tapioca, especially tapioca has no any strength at all. It doesn't give me strength at all. Nothing. So not only fufu I enjoy because I swallow finish, I feel get power to do work, to do anything I want to.
In many communities, cassava remains not just a food source, but a cultural staple deeply rooted in daily life and tradition. Favor Okafor reporting.
Governor Sheriff Oborevwori was among dignitaries at the marriage of Mr. Precious Odili and former Miss Jane Ajuya, daughter to a former Attorney General of the state, Mr. Charles Ajuya, SAN. The governor was represented by his deputy, Sir Monday Onyeme, at the ceremony, which took place at the St. Cyprian's Catholic Church, Efrun, Uwia local government area. In a homily, the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Bomadi, the Most Reverend Hyacinth Egbebo, described marriage as a vocation and a calling that demanded faithfulness, patience, sacrifice, and grace. He pointed out that marriage was not sustained by emotions alone, but by true love, mutual respect, and commitment between couples, urging the newlyweds to make Christ the foundation of their union. Also in attendance at the wedding ceremony were State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Ekemejero Kovoriole, SAN, the State Chief Judge, Justice Teresa Diaye, traditional rulers and religious leaders, among other personalities. Vice President Kashim Shettima, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, and former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa were among dignitaries at the burial of Pa Israel Chinwuba Obwe in Onisholona, Anyosha North local government area. The late Pa Obwe, father-in-law to Chairman of the United Bank for Africa, UBA, Mr. Tony Elumelu, was laid to rest after a funeral service at the St. Peter's Anglican Church, Onicholona, attended by top government officials, lawmakers, and captains of industries. Ejime Udweme reports.
Speaking at a reception for guests, Vice President Shettima described the passing of the 99-year-old as a glorious exit, noting that he lived a fulfilled life marked by service to humanity and meaningful contributions to society. He urged the family to immortalize their father by upholding the virtues and principles that defined his long and impactful life.
Your father often said he was fortunate with his children. We can all see why. The values he planted are visible in your lives. The bond between the Okwe and Elumelu families is one to be proud about. It shows what is possible when families are built on respect, shared values, and a commitment to something greater than themselves.
In a sermon titled From Earthly Tent to Eternal Home, the Anglican Bishop of the Asaba Diocese, Kingsley Obo, urged Christians to live a Christ-centered life, stressing that faith in God remained the sure path to eternal rest.
The first point we must note is that earthly life is like a tent. A tent is temporary, not permanent. A tent is subject to wear and tear. A tent is meant for a journey, not for destination. When you are in the journey, you build tents. You come to a shade, you build a tent to stay for a while. That's a tent. When you get to a destination, you don't build tent anymore. You build a home.
Family members describe Pa Ogboe as a strong pillar whose influence extended beyond the family, pledging to uphold and sustain his legacy.
One of the most important things my dad taught us was humility. If I would say two, humility and contentment. And I would say with myself and my 5 siblings, this is something we try to imbibe, humility, and to be content in everything that we have.
Yes, he's a man of wisdom, he's a man of virtue. He assumed the role of my father since our dad passed over 30 years ago.
He was also an astute administrator. And I think that's what he was known for, his expertise on boards in corporate Nigeria, in community, and family.
Ejime Udweme reporting.
Now to our thought for the day. The only time you fail is when you fall down and refuse to stand to your feet. That's it on Dateline on Delta TV. Thank you so much for watching. I am Esther Oputa. Good night and God bless you.